Canadian-Cuban Friendship Association, and Socialist Solidarity. dgSolidarity BC is the Vancouver affiliate of the Canada Haiti Action Network, which was established in 2004 after the overthrow of Haiti's elected government. It works to support and advance Haitian sovereignty in the face of a long history of imperial interference. It maintains a wonderful website with up-to-date news on Haiti, found at CanadaHaitiAction.ca, as well as an active email list, which will be circulated and you can subscribe to later in the evening. You'll hear a bit more about dgSolidarity BC's activities later tonight from Roger Annis, who will speak for a few minutes following Kim Ives' talk before we move to question period. I'm excited to introduce Kim Ives tonight. Kim has been involved in Haitian activism for decades. He's a founding member of the International Support Haiti Network, and he's led delegations to Haiti to investigate human rights violations. He's made several films about Haiti, including Bitter Cane, which won second place for a documentary at the Cannes Film Festival in 1983, as well as the films Killing the Dream, The Coup Continues, and Resistance. Kim also hosts a weekly radio show that airs in New York called Haiti, the Struggle Continues, as well as a Haitian TV show, Café Vérité. He's contributed to several books on Haiti, most recently Tectonic Shifts, Haiti Since the Earthquake. And he has appeared frequently on Democracy Now! And Al Jazeera broadcasts to discuss the situation in Haiti. On top of all of that, Kim is a writer and editor with the weekly newspaper Haiti Liberté, which contains articles in French, Creole, and English, and is distributed in Canada, the US, Haiti, and Europe. Kim helped to found the newspaper after 23 years of writing and taking photos for the newspaper Haiti Progrès. Kim was the lead writer and editor of a series of revealing articles published in both Haiti Liberté and the magazine The Nation, based on US diplomatic cables concerning Haiti that spanned 2003 to 2010. These diplomatic cables were entrusted to the two publications by the organization Wikileaks. Kim's articles are being compiled in a book that is soon to be published by The Nation. Kim has written that the cables make clear that the US Embassy has been covertly directing Haiti's economic, policing, and development policies, and further, that the classified information that has been made public through the leaked cable may help to break the US cycle of intervention in the region. Please welcome Kim Ives.
Thank you, Erin. We're going to start, we're going to have a breakneck meeting here. We're going to start with a video. The first two things you need to keep in mind is that Haiti is the only occupied nation in the Western Hemisphere, militarily occupied by the UN. And second, that it is, due to that occupation, the home to the worst cholera epidemic in the world. Some 7,000 people have now died, 500,000 have been sickened. So it is a raging problem, and right now it's ebbed a little, but when the rainy season begins again in April and May, it's going to be bad. So we're going to start with a very short video of a rally in St. Mark just a few weeks ago against the presence of UN troops in Haiti and their responsibility for cholera. This will give you a taste of what the mobilization in Haiti is like. That gives you a little taste of the tenor and size of the mobilization in Haiti and the anti-occupation sentiments of the people. This is not something new. Since the cholera emerged in October 2010, Haitians have suspected and demonstrated against the UN for importing it. And indeed, several medical studies conducted over the past 2 years have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was imported by Nepalese troops who dumped their sewage in the headwaters of the Artibonite River, the largest river in Haiti, and then it spread to the rest of the country. The response of the UN was anemic. I remember speaking in Haiti to a Cuban doctor who had fought cholera in Africa in the 1990s. And he said they're doing everything wrong. This is going to be a disaster, and his words turned out to be prophetic. The first cases appeared about a tenth of a mile from the Minustak camp and then have now spread to all 10 departments of Haiti. I'm going to give you a very quick slideshow about the situation in Haiti. Haiti was the first of the large islands of the Caribbean that Columbus landed on in 1492. He, in fact, crash-landed there on the north coast. His flagship, the Santa Maria, sunk, and the wreckage was used to build the Navidad, the remains of which have never been found despite legions of amateur and professional archaeologists looking for it along the north coast. In 2010, on January 10th, a 7.0 earthquake struck the country. I think all of you know about this, and it was catastrophic. Original estimates by the Haitian government were that 319,000 people died. Recent work by statisticians in Haiti suggests that the death toll may have been closer to 40 to 60,000 people. But in any case, it was a terrible disaster. Buildings across the capital were destroyed, including the National Palace, most of the main churches and cathedrals, and many of the large public buildings. This is because much of the construction was done without solid steel rebar inside, which made them particularly vulnerable to a shock from an earthquake. Here is one of the churches you can see, which has gone to rubble. Much of this rubble, about 50% of it, remains around the country. In many areas, you had buildings which collapsed on top of other buildings, as you can see in the center of this picture here. And this is a very difficult area to access. There are no roads, it's just paths, so even to rebuild and repair these areas is a challenge. Many of the people who were displaced by their collapsing homes ended up in IDP camps. There were some 1.5 million at the beginning, and it's now down to about 50,000.
500,000.
500,000, excuse me. Thank you. I've been doing that, so watch me. The 500,000 are living in about 800 camps spread around the Port-au-Prince area. And the camps are slowly being dispersed either through armed incursions by police or sometimes just deputized goons, and in other cases just by having the water and latrines and other supplies pinched off, and people end up leaving. Here's another view of one of the camps. Many of these are just tarps. They're now, 2 years later, often leaking and totally, they're horrendous on a hot day. It's just like a small oven. Here's another view here of, this would appear to be the camp of in the downtown area of Jean-Marie Vincent, one of the largest camps in the city. Here are the numbers: 802 camps as of September of last year. That's gone down a bit, with about 500,000. And the services, as you can see, have gone down, and even lower than this now, to 7%. Toilets, 38%, bathing facilities, 50% of the camps, and only 12% have hand washing stations, which is a big problem with the cholera. Across Haiti, only 54% of people have access to clean water, And even that is relative, because when you don't have human pollution, there's often animal pollution, a lot of giardia and other giardia and other bacteria in waters even up high in the mountains. The people from the camps end up in settlements like this. This is Corail Cécilès, built on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince in a desert region, which is essentially a floodplain. It bakes during the day. When it rains, it floods. And the stones, the white gravel you see there, it's very hard to see even when the sun is beating down on it. Here's a Google Maps view of it. You can see Corail Cécilès is up to the north part. Did you put an arrow on it, Roger?
No, it's the very top where you see two sort of triangles, middle, top.
Okay, so yeah, it would be...
Those two white sort of squares and triangles.
Okay.
Way outside the city limits.
Yeah, so it's way outside the city limits, way up in this area, and you can end up having to take 2 or 3 buses to have to get to the downtown, which makes it practically impossible. The idea of the bourgeoisie that put them out there was that they're going to build an industrial park out by them, so they're going to bring the factories to them. The irony is that that may be years off, and already in the case of Port-au-Prince, that created a huge slum called Cité Soleil. This camp, ironically, is built between the 2 dumping grounds for bodies in Haiti, a place called Titanien, where bodies were dumped during the coups, and a place called Ouankabri, which is just to the east of it. Around the camp, the main camp, you have these informal settlements of tents in the fields that spring up from people who were looking to take advantage of some of the services that the camps had when they had services, such as food, water, and latrines. That's all died away, and these camps remain out there. Again, a very precarious existence on the outskirts, and this picture, by the way, looks much greener than it generally is there. That happens when there's rains, but this was clearly after a rainy period. Generally, that's much more brown and gray. Meanwhile, around the city, a recent building assessment showed that about 20% of the buildings should be demolished. That's the buildings with a red mark on them. You'll see these marks as you drive around Port-au-Prince, red, yellow, or green. 26% are basically need repairs, and only 54% are safe for reoccupation. However, as you can see here, about 64% of the red-coated buildings are now being filled up with people, and 85% of the yellow. This is because people have nowhere else to go, and as Kit Miyamoto said, it creates an extremely dangerous situation. This is an impromptu cholera treatment center. The cholera, which is sweeping the country, has, as I said, killed over 7,000, and over 500,000 have been sickened. It is incredible that this project has received, this disease has received only about $130 million in aid to combat it, while the UN military occupation receives about $850 million a year. So it's being the factor by which guns are being favored over medical prevention is a factor of 8 to 1. What the aid figures show is that $2.4 billion of relief aid has been delivered, 8% of that to the Haitian government, 0.8% of that to the, so less than 1% to the Haitian government. And in terms of the recovery aid, that's the aid that's supposed to help rebuild the country's infrastructure and buildings. Only about half of the 4.5 billion pledged has arrived, and only about 10% of that has gone to the Haitian government. Once again, the majority of the aid goes to the State Department, Pentagon, contractors, and NGOs. Again, as you see at the bottom, the column funding is supposed to be 172 million promised, 130 dispersed. I should also note that last paragraph about the 3.1 billion in relief and recovery that was raised by NGOs and private donations, and of that only 50% has been spent. I would highly recommend a new film that is out called Where Did the Money Go? It's by a journalist who used to work with Bill Moyers and CNN headline news called Michelle Mitchell. She produced this, and she really targets the Red Cross as one of the principal culprits in disappearing money. Here's a picture of the embryonic Haitian army. There are about 10 camps around the country which are training former soldiers and would-be soldiers in a force that newly elected President Michel Martelly has said he would reinstitute. It was dissolved back in 1995 by former President Jean-Bertrand Aristide because its principal accomplishment had been to carry out coups over the course of its 5 decades of existence. It was created by the U.S. Marines when they left the country after their 19-year occupation in 1934. They'd arrived in 1915, and they wanted to leave behind a proxy force to protect U.S. interests. It was the Garde d'Haïti, which became known as the Force Armée d'Haïti, FAD, and that is a proposal that has been met with almost universal rejection by the Haitian people, according to the Robert Muga of the Small Arms Institute, which, along with others, did a survey. Martelly is saying that he wants to put it to replace the MINUSA force, that is the UN mission to stabilize Haiti, which is now about 10,000. It was down from 13,000. It was popped up to shortly after the quake. And these 10 to 13,000 troops are deployed around the country. They started in June 2004, 3 months after the February 29th coup d'etat against Aristide. The first 3 months of that coup, of that post-coup period, were ensured by the U.S., Canada, and French troops. But as with the first occupation in 94, the lead countries of the occupation, we could say, the U.S. in particular, do the heavy lifting, and then they pass it off to, they sort of subcontract out to third world nations to do it. And one of the reasons for this is it's about 50% cheaper. The U.S. General Accounting Office did a study, and they found that if U.S. Marines and Army were to carry out this occupation, it would cost about double. It also provides an effective way to neutralize some of the continent's would-be allies of the Haitian people, such as Brazil. They are, in fact, the leaders of the force. It was a unfortunate calculation that Lula, the president of Brazil at the time, made, that this somehow might help Brazil get a permanent Security Council seat, but the UN is, I don't think, ever going to be expanding its Security Council permanent members, so it was quite a ruse. The obstacles to effective aid and reconstruction, the weak and underfunded central government, and this is part of the U.S. strategy for now about 3 decades to weaken that government. Really, since the fall of the Soviet Union, it's been accelerated. They want to create essentially as weak central governments as they can, with everything being done by the proxies and the agents of Washington in the country. The large presence of international organizations attests to this, and UN agencies. who are accountable above all to their home governments. Non-governmental organization is one of the greatest misnomers of our time. The right-wing presidency of Michel Martelly was brought to power through U.S. intervention, even the intervention of the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. And it accounts now for the, I could say, crisis which is growing due, one, to corruption, but two, to growing popular distrust and outrage with it. And finally, the Minister Force, which, as you saw in the video at the beginning, is highly, highly unpopular. In contrast to the UN military deployment, Cuba has deployed throughout the country 800 doctors on an average over the past 13 years. Over the course of those 13 years, that's been about 4,000 Cuban doctors have gone to Haiti, providing aid throughout the countryside, even in the most remote regions. And for this region, they are extraordinarily popular in Haiti, and it is not just in the domain of health that they've provided this expertise, also in aquaculture, that is growing fish in ponds, fishing, helping Haiti improve its fishing fleet offshore, helping resurrect some defunct sugar mills, such as that in Léogâne, the Jeune Dominique sugar mill. And also they've helped in setting up a number of these energy production plants that have been donated by Venezuela in Port-au-Prince, Gonaïves, and Haitian. It's Venezuelan and Cuban technicians who wire them up, train people in how to maintain them. Some of the books you should definitely read on Haiti if you want to have a good grasp of what's going on there. First and foremost, Damming the Flood by Peter Hallward. An excellent, extremely readable account of the 2004 coup, essential reading. The Uses of Haiti, written by Paul Farmer years ago in '95, still remains a good background book, as is Hans Schmidt's account of the U.S. occupation from 1915 to 1934, and really two books by Laurent Dubois, Avengers of the New World, which is a very good class analysis of the 1804 revolution, and a new book which has just come out by him called Haiti, the Aftershocks of History, which looks at Haiti's history from 1804 to really the present period. And what you can do, right here in the case of Canada, of course, to your members of parliament, support groups like the Bureau of Avocats International, of International Lawyers. You saw Mario Joseph in that video. He is the leader of that, and in many ways, the leader of the movement of resistance that meets and operates out of his offices, along with Haiti Liberté. The second speaker you saw, speaking just after him, is the bureau chief of Haiti Liberté down there, Yves Pierre-Louis. So Mario Joseph and Yves Pierre-Louis are two very important figures to watch. As well as Haiti Grassroots Watch, this is a group of Haitian journalists who are working with U.S. journalists to create investigative journalism arm in Haiti. In terms of international agencies, the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti is very important. That's sort of a cousin agency of the BAI, the International Lawyers Office. And they do a lot of the work here in the States. They were also instrumental in organizing a suit against the UN by 5,000 cholera victims. That is, these are people who have either contracted cholera or had family members die from cholera. They sued the UN for their criminal negligence in this matter, and this is now being taken up by the UN. And also, to support the fight for political sovereignty, supporting Haiti Liberté, our newspaper, there's a button on the website where you can do so on a one-time or a monthly basis. And also the Canada-Haiti Action Network, which has organized this tour, both in Winnipeg, here in Vancouver, and Victoria. We're going on to Seattle tomorrow. They are really the most effective Haiti solidarity organization in the world today. Well, here's a picture of Lionel in our office in Port-au-Prince with a camera which Roger, in fact, gave to him, I think, on an impromptu basis when he was down there on his last delegation. And here is Yves Pierre-Louis of Haiti Liberté. He's also one of the principal leaders of the fronts, these coalitions that have sprung up in Haiti. And I should explain at that point that really the form of resistance we see are these broad fronts of organizations coming together. Fire, state, industry employees, because many of the public industries, there were 9 of them when Duvalier left in 1986, have been privatized. Their employees cast out often without months of salaries due them, and without their pensions, without a lot of other things owed to them. So they've been organizing all these years. There's really only 2 parts of those 9 that remain public, and that's the airport, and that's only partial. American Airlines just bought a big chunk of the airport, and the electricity company, but even that is being sort of bought up in bits and pieces, and they're setting up all sorts of counter and rival generators. What's happened is these organizations, which, as I say, involve employees who have been laid off, women's groups who have been in the camp and undergoing terrible threats of violence and difficulties in raising families, peasant organizations, neighborhood committees, have all come together in these fronts. And where they meet is at the BAI, Haiti Liberté office. This is really the rallying point, and you go in there any day of the week, as anybody who might have gone on delegations through Haiti can attest, and you'll see a meeting with 40 or 50 people sitting around discussing how they're going to do the demonstration this week against the occupation, or to demand housing for camp victims, or to demand a treatment for cholera, etc. So it's a very dynamic movement, fighting with practically nothing. I mean, every week we're getting phone calls, can you send $100 so we can make a banner, that sort of thing. And yet they keep going on. This situation happens in a framework where, as you, I'm sure all have heard, Jean-Claude Duvalier has recently returned to the country. Today, the news came down that the prosecutor, I should say the investigating judge, who met with Duvalier when he returned shortly after he returned on January 16th of last year, met with him at that time and said, we're going to put you under house arrest, you can't go out. Well, Duvalier can be seen almost any night of the week out in the fancy restaurants of Pétionville with a large security detail and lots of well-wishers from the bourgeoisie eating. And he's even gone as far north as Gonaïves to get an honorary law degree, and he was at a special ceremony to commemorate the earthquake on January 12th. President Martelly said in Davos, where he was just at the big capitalist conclave in that country in Switzerland last week, that he was leaning towards a pardon for Duvalier. Well, the outcry was so strong and immediate that he had to backtrack by the time he got to Ireland on his way back to Haiti. And it seems, though, that the word came down because the real thing that Duvalier is charged with are two things. One, the embezzlement of about $1 billion from the state treasury, from the coffers of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And two, the execution, torture, illegal imprisonment, and disappearance of thousands, even tens of thousands of people during his 15-year reign as president for life from 1971 to 1986. So now the investigating judge has said, well, we're not going to deal with the crimes against humanity, with these very severe, the most severe human rights crimes. We're just going to charge him with the embezzlement crimes. For the maximum time he can serve for those is 5 years. So as I was saying to a radio show earlier today, it's a little bit as if somebody went into a candy store and stole a candy bar and shot the cashier dead, and then they charged him for stealing the candy bar. I mean, it's an outrage, and I think we're going to see a real backlash from it. But this happens because we have in power in the country essentially a neo-Duvalierist government under Michel Martelly, who, as many of you may know, was practically installed by the U.S. They intervened in the sovereign electoral process that took place in Haiti on November 2010 and March 2011. And they essentially said that the candidate who came in second should be bumped out in favor of Martelly. Which, by the way, his installation and consequent winning of the second round was illegal because the Provisional Electoral Council never approved the first round results, which were a total mess. It was a totally fraud-filled and violence-marred first round. So there we have a neo-Duvalierist in power with a project of reestablishing the Duvalierist army. And meanwhile, you have, returning 2 months later, former President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was sent into exile in 2004 to South Africa, and was there for 7 years. He fought hard to get back. When he did get back, finally, he was met by tens of thousands of Haitians who turned out, despite the fact that they weren't clear, they weren't sure when he would return because of sort of a counter disinformation campaign that was waged on the airwaves. And he went on. He was carried by this human ocean to his home in Tabar, and he's basically been in Tabar, holed up in Tabar ever since. He can't go out. His security is in jeopardy. He had his security cut down drastically by the Martelly government when he returned. He had a car taken back and half of his security squad taken back. And nonetheless, he's gone on to relaunch his university, a medical school. Haiti's only their second medical school, which was producing 125 doctors a year. This is in a country which has one doctor for every 10,000 people. This medical school was immediately disbanded by U.S. Marines after the coup d'etat of February 29th, and they used the medical school as a barracks. So that just about says it all. A medical school turned into a barracks for soldiers. So a lot of this reality, which Haitians was really confirmed through the Wikileaks documents that were provided to Haiti Liberté in last year. This was a real coup for us. As many of you may know, all of the 250,000 documents were provided to 4 mainstream corporate news media when Wikileaks first started on it. They gave it to the New York Times, The Guardian in England, Der Spiegel in Germany, and Le Monde in France. But those media did practically nothing with the documents. They wrote very little, and even the New York Times boasted that they checked out every story with the State Department before they published it. That's how timid, that's how angelic they were in their use of the documents. So WikiLeaks said, well, let's rethink our strategy. We're going to go to the countries and give it to the media in the countries concerned. And they put together several teams which fanned out across the world. And the team came to us, contacted us. We're proud to say we were chosen by WikiLeaks as the medium, as the media in Haiti that would be most able, most capable, most responsible in not only disseminating and analyzing and writing about the documents, but also editing out the names of people who could be hurt or killed if their names were revealed. So we couldn't actually receive it by the internet. They couldn't just email it to us because you have to remember WikiLeaks began as a group of hackers, so they know the problems of internet security very well. They had to bring it to us personally, train us in how to treat the documents, how to handle them, how not to put them on a secure computer so they couldn't be stolen by Pentagon hackers and so forth. Trained us in all of that and then set us loose on them. We got that in April in Port-au-Prince. A very, very interesting story. I hope to detail it in the book that we trust will one day be finished soon. And then we began publishing in June this summer. And we published about 14, 15 articles on the cables. You can find them all very well organized on the Chan website. It's even better organized than on the Haiti Liberté website, where you need to be something of a hacker to get through it. But it's very well delineated and able to be used by the layperson on the Chan website, so I direct you all there. Among those were an article, that was our opening one, on the way that the U.S. tried to torpedo the Petro-Caribe deal that Haiti had, whereby Venezuela gives Haiti all its energy needs, 16 to 17,000 barrels of oil a day. Haiti only has to pay 60% up front, and 40% is paid over 25 years at 1% interest. This saves the country $100 million a year. Even the U.S. Embassy said this is a great deal for Haiti, but they still tried to shoot it down because Texaco Chevron and ExxonMobil, both which were distributing in the country, were opposed to it. And so eventually, after 2 years, Haiti was able to get this installed, even though it was the first thing René Preval did in 2006 when he came into office, was to supposedly sign the treaty. But it took 2 years before he could get it due to embassy sabotage. We outline that in the articles. We show also how they undercut the minimum wage. Haitians were being paid $1.25 a day to assemble clothing, electronics in Haiti's assembly parks. And Senator Stephen Benoit said, let's raise that to 200 goods, $5 a day. That would still be the lowest rate in the Western Hemisphere. But the embassy said, no, we can't do that. Backed by all the contractors that worked for Levi's, for The Gap, for Fruit of the Loom, Hanes, and other clothing manufacturers. So the U.S. Embassy intervened, put pressure on Preval, and they ended up raising the minimum wage only to $3 a day. So they said, you know, paying those extra $2 was going to bankrupt them. Well, it's obviously not true. They're paying the $5 now because it was finally raised, but this gives you an idea of the sort of guerrilla war the embassy was waging. In addition, it also organized the, how shall we say, rubber stamping of the 2010 elections. Already, there was a meeting in on December 1st, 2009, of all the ambassadors of the big countries in Haiti. And the Canadian ambassador said, you know, we got a big problem because the government's Provisional Electoral Council has disqualified, very clearly, fraudulently, the Laplace Family Party of Haiti. That's as if they, you know, disqualified the Republican and Democratic parties from an election in the United States. And he said, there's going to be big problems because of this. The people aren't going to vote. They're going to be demonstrating. There's going to be, and the Americans, the U.S., the EU, a number of others finally convinced them, said, listen, we've invested too much to go back. We can't call fraud. All of this is detailed in the Wikileaks articles we did, along with the response to the earthquake, the incredible corruption of a number of the politicians in the country. It even created some huge political crises. So I should just say, to finish, that Haiti needs help. They need assistance, but it needs to be respectful assistance, sovereign assistance, assistance that respects sovereignty, like that which Cuba and Venezuela have been given, not like what the U.S. and the UN have been doing. They don't need to be occupied by UN troops. They don't need NGOs siphoning off, intercepting as intermediaries development aid. They need direct aid, government to government, people to people aid. And you all can help in that by supporting those organizations that are working on the ground. Jan offers a very fine conduit and guide to the organizations which are effective and working. And we hope that we can, in that way, build a effective support movement. We at Haiti Liberté have found that the solidarity movement here in Canada is, as I said earlier, really second to none. And we hope you all will continue supporting and working for that struggle for justice and democracy. Thank you.